Hello and welcome. You're watching the Tov Jewish News channel. My name is Michael Vilinsky, and my guest today is Moshe Feiglin, head of the Zout political movement. Moshe, it's a great honor to welcome you here in our digital studio.
Hello, Michael.
So, Moshe, your movement, your Zout, is based on religious principles, as you yourself are a religious person. And because of that, I want to ask you, right? We're trying to structure Israel, build the Israel of the future as the Torah, as God wants us to build it. And in the religious texts, how should Israel look like politically? Should it be a monarchy? Should it be a democracy? So how should Israel of the future look like?
It's going to be a free state. Okay, it's good. That's what it's going to be. It is less matter if it'll be monarchy or democracy. Every generation has its own path to reach the goal of the Torah. Democracy is very nice. We don't know anything better, as Churchill said. We don't have anything better than that. And we all grew up in a democratic or so-called democratic environment, and definitely has the tools to reach the Torah goal. Of course, when we talk about Yemot HaMashiach, we talk about Melech HaMashiach. But until we get there, I believe we can work through the democratic frame and the basic concept of freedom, which is the basic concept of Judaism. We just read how Moshe goes down from Mount Sinai with a covenant, with a basic law that Judaism gave to the entire world, the law that above all human laws, and therefore give the humanity its freedom. There's a reason why the statue of Moshe Rabbeinu with Luchot HaBrit, yes, is based right in front of the American Supreme Court. They understood that the foundation of freedom is the belief in one God and one law for everybody. And when you're saying one law for everybody, the king and the servant at the same time, same law, which gives everybody their freedom, you're talking about the biblical law. You're talking about the law of the Almighty. Because when you pushing aside the belief in God, the end result will always be that the new laws or the new covenant will be written by the strong, by those who have the power. And later on, the first thing that will be removed from the 10 Commandments will be Lo Tirtzach. And we saw it again and again. Where there's no God,
to not kill.
do not kill. Yeah. We saw it again and again. When there's no God, ideologies without God always lead to the death of millions, always.
Moshe, but we see that in the scriptures, for example, in the book of prophets, that Jews used to be a monarchy. And God, gave us the monarchy, gave us a king, King Saul at first, because he thought that's the way that Jews should be governed. Don't you think that from a religious point of view, Jews should come back to a monarchy?
Obviously, a monarchy is irrelevant in our days. It's not that I think that there's something holy in democracy. I don't. Democracy is a system, and as Churchill said, it's a bad system. But I just don't know any better than that. Okay, that's what Churchill said, and I agree. And I agree that in our time, there's no other system that can be less worse than democracy. But the democracy,
Broadly speaking, why do you think
but
democracy is so good?
as I said, I don't think there's nothing holy in democracy. Okay, I don't think it's so good, but it's the least of evils. Okay, there's a lot of problems with democracy, and it's easy to strong forces that works behind the scene to manipulate democracy and create kind of dictatorship in the frame of democracy. I'm aware of all that. Okay, but I don't think the public conscience today is ready for monarchy unless something miraculously will happen, and we all hope that will happen. But we have to work with the tools that we have with our hand, and we are far away from reaching what we could have reached with democracy. I think the fact that most of Israelis are Jewish oriented, religious, Haredi, and observance, okay, Masortiim, traditional, okay. Most of Israelis are like that. Means that you can create a Jewish state based on democracy, and it can go together. Our problem is not the system. Our problem is not our problem today, in our days, is not democracy. Our problem is that we, the Jewish majority, and when I'm saying Jewish, of course, I'm not saying that the leftists are not Jewish, but I'm saying the Jewish oriented majority don't really understand democracy. And the most important thing is that we don't understand that the state belongs to us and not we belong to the state. This is the basic conscience of every leftist. And the Jews, the Jewish oriented, what they call the right wingers, do not understand it. And that leads to a point where it doesn't matter if you win the election, the left continue controlling the country. It's so the problem is not the system, the problem is the state of mind of the Jewish majority.
Citizens. Moshe,
Yeah.
do you think there is a basis for democracy in Jewish religious texts? And if yes, what is the basis for it?
Yes, there is a basic. It's in Hebrew letters, the word anashim, people, okay, is the same word of the two words sham ani. That's where I am. Okay, God is with the people. Okay, there is a pasuk that says kol hamon ke kol shaddai. The voice of the people is like the voice of God. Sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes the people behave like asafsuf, like in the golden calf. Okay, but in most of the time, in certain time, when people act on the right way, the path that the majority is taking represents the will of God. There's a concept like that in Chazal. So yes, there is a
Basis for
base
democracy.
for democracy, but we have to remember one thing. There are two ways to look at democracy. One way, as I said, as another tool to bring people to do their to fulfill their goal and do what the Almighty expect from us, the Creator is expecting from us. The other way to look at it is there is no God. We are in control. We decide instead of God. So that's the two channels that with the same democracy, you can do good and you can do bad. So again, it's not about the system. It's about what we're doing with it.
Moshe, I want to thank you very much for this interview. Unfortunately, we're running out of time.
You're very welcome.
I also want to thank all of our viewers that saw this interview. Please don't forget to subscribe to us on all of our social media platforms. Thank you again. Have a great day.